Now, finally, if you'll join us, just move it up. Thank you. There we go, almost there. We now take a look at an interesting case of culture emerging triumphant over capitalism. Aquila Steel South Africa, a subsidiary of an Australian company, wants to open an iron ore mine in the Madimatle Mountain area in Thabazimbi in Limpopo. Many residents fear mining in the area will damage the site, which traditional healers have used for generations to commune with their ancestors. The Traditional Healers Association of South Africa and the Kara Heritage Institute, along with Werksmans Attorneys, decided together to challenge this company. In a ruling late last year, the South African Heritage Resources Agency said that all exploratory mining activity near the Madimatle Mountain and its caves must be stopped, and the local people's right to worship and practice their cultural beliefs should remain protected for an initial 2-year period. Now, joining us today is Dr Mathole Motshekga of the Kara Institute and Bulelwa Mabasa, who is a director at Werksmans Attorneys. Very good morning. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Bulelwa, am I correct in saying that this is a watershed case in legalese, really?
It definitely is a water case on the basis of many reasons. One of which is that we have not at least seen a legal precedent on the courts pronouncing on the right to religion and culture in such a real and relevant way. The site in question is a living heritage, as opposed to it being a site that has been that is revered because it's old and it's been there. It's a living heritage. People use it every day, and quite frankly, it's most certainly significant.
Dr. Motshekga, the Kara Institute is one of the opposing parties in this case. Can you just briefly outline why it is a case that is so important and so close to your heart?
I must say that as Kara Heritage Institute, we want to actually congratulate Bulelwa Mabasa and colleagues and Werksmans Attorneys for realizing that culture and religion is at the heart of national life, especially of the majority of African people. That for them, the world of the living and the world of the departed are two sides of the same coin. If you take the one away, the other one remains meaningless. Therefore, they are sacred caves and mountains which serve as the link between the living and the departed and the great Lord above. Now, the mining company Aquila, without seeking to understand African people and their practices,
yes,
comes and say they want to develop the place, and when asked what is there in for the people, they say jobs. Jobs for the people will feed the body, but the people consist of the spirit and the body. So jobs can't fill. If you destroy the spirit, the body becomes meaningless. So this is at the heart of the life of the country, because it balances spirituality and materiality, yeah, and that's what we need for this country.
Our people have lived for thousands and thousands of years in these areas without jobs having to be created, and nothing needs to change is what I say, but that's my humble opinion. I want to talk about Werksmans Attorneys, and you've picked up this pattern which is almost a little bit out of character, one would think, for big law firms. Yes. Tell us about the consciousness behind this, yeah, and what has driven you to go down this road.
I think Werksmans Attorneys has always prided itself with always having a hunger and a passion for matters which are cutting edge, really. We like to be first in the world that we dabble in, and we consider ourselves the best. Werksmans Attorneys has never shied away from any type of challenge, and when we saw this matter, we put together a team of specialists. As you might well know, Werksmans prides itself with having expertise and teams of specialists in very key areas. So when we handled this matter, we realized that there is a need to build a team around it in all the key areas, mining law being one of them, environmental law being another, and of course religion and culture. We also like to believe that we go into the depth of understanding what it is that our clients present to us. To give you an example in how this case was handled, was that we undertook to go to Madimatle various times, and with the help of the Traditional Healers Association, organization, and Kara Institute, we have spoken to a myriad of people, over 300 people that we have interviewed, to get into grips with what they really feel. So I think the passion that Werksmans has always displayed, and also understanding that our constitutional democracy is not just built on one aspect, but that, as Dr. Motshekga has mentioned, that aspects of religion and culture, especially to African traditional religion, have kind of been behind the scenes or being understood in a mystical way. And we saw this, Werksmans Attorneys saw this as an opportunity to bring to the fore and into the mainstream the reality of African religion, which is practiced by the majority of the people of our country.
At times, it's almost as if African tradition and religion becomes diminished in mainstream media and in, we'll call it, polite discussions around this book. Dr. Motshekga, I want to ask you about what's happening next now. What will happen in the next couple of years? Is there a chance that this mining company could still succeed in their process?
I don't think so. If we have progressive lawyers like Bulelwa and team at Werksmans, I think the consciousness about the centrality of African culture and religion will grow. Because if you look around today, there's a moral degeneration. And this moral degeneration is exacerbated by the fact that the spiritual and cultural values that go with African culture and religion are being undermined, and people are simply living without a value basis. So I think this case is watershed in the sense that it has already brought to the national platform the centrality of African religion, and I think things will never be the same again.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, and one would say very well done to the both of you, because we see these kinds of scenarios playing out not just in our country but all over the world, where mining concerns and financial concerns, it seems, supersedes everything else. But in this life there's so much more to it than just money or financial gain.
Absolutely.
Certainly, yes.
Bulelwa Mabasa, who's the director at Werksmans Attorneys, thank you very much for joining us today. And then Dr. Mathole Motshekga of the Kara Institute also joined us today. Thank you for bringing this story to us and putting us into the picture where this process is. I thank you once again. That's where we wrap it. We've got no social media, no nothing else. Newsroom is broadcast live from our studios in Auckland Park, Johannesburg, every weekday morning between 9 and 10 a.m. The show repeats at 2 in the afternoon with a rebroadcast at 5 a.m. the following day. We also stream live on YouTube at that time, with the show available on demand on our YouTube channel. This is SABC News. You've been watching Newsroom. We love it in the morning.